Good morning, everyone. I am Oscar, and I'm an artist that goes by the name of Donoski. I actually started using this nickname a few years ago, and I didn't know really what it meant for me. But the funny thing was, it all clicked one day when I was like, wait a minute. My grandfather always called me Donoski. That's actually where it came from. Because my nickname growing up is Oski. And for some reason, he just decided to call me Donoski. And I always loved this nickname. To me, it means like saying like Mr. or Sir, something kind of royalty. I believe that's when that nickname was imparted to people. And I always loved this nickname. And for some reason, like it was kind of hard for me because Oski sounds like a little kid. And I didn't want people to consider me as a little kid, as an artist, being a professional artist. I've done sculptures, I've done murals, I've done my own exhibitions that I sponsored myself. And it's been a lot of work, but it's something that at the end of the day, it's been a journey and I've loved to do this whole time. I also continue to try to find my voice as an artist. And I think that's probably, as an artist, one of the most difficult journeys that we can have is what do we want to show with our art? Because I've done realism. I've studied a lot of realism. I can do portraits. I can do graffiti, street art, as you see behind me. That was one of the big influences and bases when I was in high school. I loved doing graffiti and street art all the way up until I got arrested for it. Then that wasn't any fun anymore. Getting arrested, I realized, this is not for me. I don't want to run from the cops. I don't want to be looking behind my back. I don't really care about putting my name up everywhere, even though it is fun. I also see the other side of it as a property owner. I don't want somebody putting their name on my property. So I'd rather do things legally. Like, how do I get everything that I've been learning as an artist? And what is my voice? Well, I feel I finally found my voice, and it all actually went back to my childhood. My biggest strength as I was growing up were to be drawing these little cartoons and sitting down from my mind and creating all these wonderful imaginative world that I transported myself into. But I had a little voice in the back of my head that told me, what do you think you're going to do this as a living? And unfortunately, that voice came from somebody I love deeply. But it also pushed me to become the artist that I am today, because I have this other voice that says, I'm going to show you. When somebody tells me that I can't do something or that something's difficult, I always have that side of me that wants to prove them wrong. So in this case, it took my whole life to get to this point, but I actually reverted back to my childhood self and started doing these drawings. Now, at first, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just letting myself go because, like I said, I thought doing realism. And part of me thought that as an artist, realism is a way to go. I studied like the greats from the Renaissance era. And I thought that that was a way to go because, I wanted to be respected just like them. And then I started to see that, like nowadays, it doesn't really matter. Everybody has their own art, their own voice. And the more unique you are, the more people appreciate you. So I hope that you guys appreciate what I'm about to show you. I created this little character, and he goes by the name of Don Oski. Now, why did I name him after my own nickname? Because it actually came from memories where I started drawing this little character and the memories started coming back of things that happened to me as I was growing up. And I've always been a storyteller. I love telling real stories. And he was based off of me and my style when I was growing up. Now, this was a little bit while ago. I did grow up in the 80s and 90s. So as a Hispanic child growing up in South Florida, I had many cultural influences. And I would travel regularly to Panama to see my dad. So all these experiences formed me and helped me form my character of Donoski. And Donoski, as you see here, is this bright, young, maybe a little mischievous boy that likes to explore the world. And I want to present his view from his imagination. Sometimes things are a bit more elaborate than what the reality is, but that is part of childhood. That is how you grow up. You make these worlds. And I feel that nowadays, a lot of kids might be missing that because they focus on the screens, what's on their screens, and it's taking away from our imagination. My little character, Donosky, kind of looks like me. And it actually looks even more like me when I was a child. And I actually have here a drawing based off of one of my photographs that my mom took when I was a little kid. You see me drawing. And like I said, I've been drawing like since I was a very, very young kid. I could barely hold a pencil. But even back then, you saw my focus, my concentration, and my art. I was already transported somewhere else when I was drawing. As I continued to develop this character of Donosky, I realized I want him to have a specific look. And it's something in between a cartoon and realism. And I don't know how to describe that, but this is the look that I've been most attracted to. Because like I said, I focused on realism a lot growing up. I thought that that's how you became a professional artist. You needed to be able to draw things almost like a photograph. And I realize it's not quite. I mean, if somebody wants a photograph, they might as well go buy a photograph, and it's a lot quicker and a lot cheaper. But if somebody wants true art, they want to see the hand of the creator involved in that art. And that's what I think art has this of being able to connect with people. Because you have to leave some of yourself inside the art so that people can say, hey, that is a Donosky piece. And that's what makes it unique in itself. So for me to develop my Donosky character, I also have to become very good at being repetitious with this character. Now, a lot of times as artists, we just want to draw whatever we want to draw and create or paint whatever we want to create. And we just jump from subject to subject to subject. But once you get good at something and it really attracts your eye, maybe you should stick with that. Maybe you should see how that character or that style goes and continue to develop it, because then that's when people start saying, oh, I've seen that before. And so that's where I'm at this point in my life. I feel I've developed my character. I feel I've developed myself and my style to the point where I can create exactly what I want, and so that other people can enjoy it. So this exercise that I'm actually going to be doing right now is going to be working on my repetition. Because as you see here, my characters do have a certain look. They do have certain similarities. But the ideal for me would be that I could pretty much draw it with my eyes closed. That is the best thing as an artist to be able to do, is when you have a certain style, a certain character, a certain range of creativity, you want your pieces to start looking like each other. So I want to take this time to sit down with you and practice my Donosky character so that you can see how I develop it with you. I have to memorize the structure of his face, of his body, so that when I go ahead and draw it, it takes me less time to draw it because it's already ingrained. I already know inside of my memory how his eyes are spaced, where his ears are located, his nose. All those factors are very important so that I have continuity in my art piece. So let's get right to it. As you see here, my setup has been a little bit difficult for me to figure out how to do, but I wanted to do something where the paper stands out a bit more than the background. My background is white, so I think that would be a little bit too much for you in the camera. And this is my original drawing that I'm going to be basing myself off of. So the fun part for me is to, let's see if this pen works. All right, we got the pen working. So the fun part for me is to begin by getting the head shape down. Now, as you see, the head is not a full circle. It actually has a chin that sticks out a little bit. Now, the proportions of this are usually about halfway through the head is going to be my little guy's eyes. Nothing too drastic here, just very basic. And then the nose is an elongated nose, similar to mine, or to what I, in my version, feel it looks like. These are the eyebrows. Now the problem is the mouth lays right about here. And so the chin comes further down, probably to there. Not probably, but actually to there. Now I want him to keep a childlike appearance. So it's very important not to elongate his face so much. Maybe just come down like almost like a little point, flat, and then back up. That looks pretty good. Now the ears, I have them right about where the nose, between the nose and the mouth. That's where the ears come out. Now, right here, I'm just drawing a dirty version of this. It doesn't really matter because at the end, I'm going to be doing it without all these extra lines. Just so I can get the gist of what I'm drawing. I don't want to cover his eyebrows. And I'm just adding the hair right here. The haircut is very important to me. The haircut is actually what I call the He-Man haircut. Because when I was growing up, He-Man used to be the ish. Or as we would say, the coolest guy, the baddest guy. He-Man was the man, for me at least. And so the haircut is very iconic, very important. Some other people might refer to it as a bowl haircut. This one's a little bit rounded. You have to think, or I have to think about the shape of the head and the weight of the hair. So it's not going to be perfectly round. It's going to come up a little bit and then back down, kind of like an oval shape as well. See, so the way the hair lies, it's not going to be like a perfect round bowl. And there you go. That's pretty much it. So if we want to just darken all this up, now you're going to see the Donofsky come to life. Very fun, very quick. And sometimes, I, as an artist, I'm scared to draw with a pen because I feel it's so permanent. But once I take the plunge and actually start drawing with a pen, it's actually not that bad. And I am very amazed by the results that I've created because it's just having that confidence in yourself, knowing that you can pull it off or feeling like you can pull it off. And the funny thing is that even if you don't pull it off, at the end of the day, you can just redraw it again. So here he is, my little guy, my little Donofsky, fixing his tie from the first time he was given a suit. Being all kinds of confident, going to a little family function probably, looking all dapper, looking all good. And of course the suit is a little bit big for him because, they don't tailor kid suits. At least my family didn't. And here he is. Very quick and clean drawing. Well, not very clean, but you get the idea. So now I'm just going to keep practicing so that without drawing all those lines. And let's see how I do. So first things first, this time let's draw more of an oval shape to his face, going right into his face, actual shape. And now knowing that about the top part of his head is going to be the eyes, I'm just going to draw them right here. Boom, 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 boom. Perfect. And then the elongated nose, like I said before. See, and now it looks like him, but I believe I needed to draw him a little bit wider face. And his ears actually come higher. There we go. So this is actually not too bad. But as you see, I want to draw as little lines as possible, making him where it's just one fluid motion. Now, another thing is I'm used to pressing really hard on the drawing surface. And here I can't because I put a pillowcase underneath me so that it would help me have contrast with the background. But that's okay. I'm just going to keep going. Let's see if we can just draw a little bit faster.
a little bit better. Since all the hair is going to be covering all that, maybe it's not so important. And then the chin, let's give him a little bit more of a chin. See, here I am starting from the bottom up. Maybe that'll help me. Maybe it won't. And I am getting better and better at creating him. All it is repetition. Like most things in life, for you to master them, for you to get really good at them, you just have to do repetition. And this is it right there. Way better drawing than that second one without so many lines. Now, the whole point of this is the exercise is for me to be able to know where the proportions are. See, his eyes need to come further down in this one, I feel. And the reason he's looking sideways is because he's just like, wow, he's feeling himself. He knows he looks good in a suit and a tie, and he's excited about it. But it's actually not that bad once I adjusted the eyes a little bit further down. Once again, same thing. It also helps if you draw a little bit lighter than normal, so that maybe that'll help your confidence a little bit up, so that you don't feel it's so permanent what you're doing. And then take your time. Take your time to develop your characters, your artwork. Take your time to draw it out and get good at it. All right. I'm liking it. Perfect. Now, a lot of times it's a little bit difficult to draw in your blind spot. My blind spot would be my right side, where I can't quite see where my pen is going. Now, this is something I learned from tattooing, is to always know where your pen is or your machine is. In this case, I'm using a pen, unlike tattooing. So the good thing is I'm applying what I've learned in other places, other techniques, to get this down right. Now, the nose looks very elongated here. But once again, this is just how I get better. I'm basing it off of this drawing. And another thing I've noticed from doing this drawing over here is that his face isn't so much of an oval shape. Maybe more of a V shape. And that's all we have to do is kind of chisel away at it, get better and better. Now, why did I choose that one as my reference one? Is because it's one that he's looking, or his face is facing completely forward. And at least for my brain to process it, I feel that helps a lot, is seeing him straight forward. Then those dimensions, that look, starts getting recorded in my brain. And I can, from there, actually draw him in different angles, different ways. And it's actually easier for me, I feel. Now, the funny thing is I have eyebrows that actually go more like this. But to keep his childlike demeanor, I thought maybe he should have a little bit more rounded eyebrows. And then once again, the He-Man haircut, as I call it, or the bowl haircut, it actually would go behind my ears or over my ears. And see, this one actually looks a little bit like anime to me, which is pretty funny. Unintentionally. Probably because of the eyes, I drew them pretty big there. That's actually a very rounded head right there. But we're having fun with him, we're developing him. We want to get him to look very similar to this drawing. I feel that is the best way for me. Or I really like that drawing. I've drawn different versions of him, but this one stands out as the best one. So let's just change it up a bit. Right now, let's draw him sideways. How about that? So the sideways view would be completely different. We're going to give him a little bit of a chin here, come up, lips, nose, and then the forehead. Now that kind of looks a little bit funny to me, but that's okay. Once again, we are developing the character. No need to get frustrated or upset on how it looks at this point, because I'm just trying to get him to look like what I picture in my head. And that's very similar to what I picture him in my head, but we should keep developing him as a character. So let's try that once again. Let's do a little bit of a dirtier version of it. Let's do a rounded circle. Okay, it's very important to get your bases down. Actually, you know what? I really like this shape right here. Maybe he's looking in a different angle, and let's play with that. So here he is. He has that little smirk on his face. His nose will be about there. His eyes, this time, I want them looking at you. There we go. And I have a tendency of doing one eyebrow up before Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, became famous for it. Actually, I can only raise one eyebrow. Unlike Jack Black, the director-actor, I've seen him do both eyebrows and move them like a wave, which is wild to me. I've never seen anybody do that. But here he is in a completely different angle, raising one eyebrow and getting that bowl haircut in. There we go. That's actually not bad. And what I like about this version of him is his cheeks. Here you can tell. As children, we have usually wider faces, bigger cheeks. So that's very important for me to have, to give him that appearance of being a child. Like this looks more like a teenager. So I need to give him a younger look. This is too anime for me. Let's go back to doing these drawings. So how many versions am I going to draw before I get them down right? I have no idea. But I'm going to do something really wild right now. I'm going to try and just follow what I'm seeing on the opposite side without lifting much of my pen. And I think that's about accurate. Now, why do I give him kind of droopy or sleepy eyes? I feel like as a kid growing up, I had droopy, sleepy eyes. That's the only reason why. And what I don't like is me doing one line for the hair. Doesn't give the illusion of the hair. So for the hair, we do have to do multiple lines, I feel, to create the character. and it's still not quite the jaw. The jaw is bothering me, honestly. It's smaller. There we go. So this is going to take some time. I mean, I'm not going to get it right the first time. I'm not going to get it right the second time, as you see. It's all about repetition and having the proportions in my head recorded to the point where it almost feels like I can do it with my eyes closed. Once I get to that point, that's when I know that the character has been ingrained in my brain, and I can just draw him over and over. You know, if you look at the DC comics or Marvel comics, any comic book character, the artists, in order for them to get to the level that they draw it, they had to have drawn it multiple times. Probably countless times, more than what we can think of. So when we have classic pieces like Spider-Man, Doom, or any of the other characters, you know, Iron Man, it's the same process that I'm doing right now, if you didn't know that. It's just drawing the character over and over and over again until you get him to be absolutely right in a way where you can draw him or her almost with your eyes closed. See right there, I went very soft, and I really like that. So let's do the nose right here. Those lines came out great, in my opinion. Here he is with his little smirk. Now, even though these lines are very minute, just as you see, just a little bit of addition and it completely distorts everything. Right here, his nose, I give him like big old nostrils, so that's not looking quite right. But just like in any other art piece, you know, you can always add and take away and move things. You know, don't get too, I'm not getting upset about any of this. This is, once again, practice. And practice makes perfect. So I have gotten pretty good at giving him his look so far. Just doing some more line work, but it's really getting that shapes down where we're building repetition, congruency in the art. Now I fade it up. So it's very cool. Just a little bit. That's what I love about art. Do just a few lines and then suddenly everything starts looking better, coming back to life, you know. Give him a little bit of a button nose. And there we go. Not bad, but definitely got to keep developing him. I really like the shape of this head, so let's keep going with that shape of head. Same thing, kind of an oval shape, but chiseling the jaw a little bit more. Now, based off of the size of it, it depends where the eyes are going to go. So another trick that I learned this, or I taught myself this when I was doing caricature drawings for Samsung, is just to make little points where the eyes would go. And then that's my reference spot for the eyes. And then the nose, just make a little point for the nose, and then a little point for the mouth. And as you see right there, it already has great proportions. So now all I have to do is maybe add the side of the nose over here, and then come down. And this is a way that I developed for myself to do the drawing as quickly as possible without making so many lines that would distort my final image. When you're doing live caricature drawings for people, it's quite nerve-wracking, but I was able to pull it off by doing this technique, and nobody taught me this technique. It was something that I developed myself. Maybe that'll help you when you're drawing your pieces, is to just do little dots where you want things to be or where you think they should be as a basis. You know, kind of like when you're building a building, you need the basement, you need the foundation. That's your foundation right there. Just little dots. And there, that's actually not bad. See, so once again, you got to go back to your basics of drawing the structure of the foundation. Very important. Now we give him a little bit more shading. Let his hair come through. And there we go. Okay, so once again, it's just about repetition. Repetition is the key in all of this, is to try and make him look the same over and over again. Record the proportions in my head so that when I'm on the spot, I draw him as quickly as possible, as easily as possible. But once again, this might seem boring to some people, but really, this is what it takes. This is what it takes, and I hope you're hanging in there, because we are almost, I feel like I almost have them. I almost have them recorded in my brain. See, if I hear, I get it really thin, so what does that mean? I have to shrink the face. So let me just widen the face a bit more. See? And then put the chin here. So this is, once again, we are, or I am. I have a tendency of saying we are, like if somebody's working with me. Well, I'm the only one here working. A little smirk on his eye, on his face. And see, it's like my tendency is to just draw everything out already. That can get me in trouble, because then I'm doing unnecessary lines. So this time let's see if he's looking directly at you. How does that look? Not bad. So I want to give the eyes like more, a natural shape. When he's looking directly at you, they're going to change more to an oval, as opposed to when they're sideways. The direction that they're going, the top of the eyelid changes direction. So it's more going towards where the pupil is. That gives it the version of it. It's going sideways. When it's going forward, the pupil's going to be in center. So the arch will be in center. And now, let's give him some nice little eyebrows. A little bit of a caricature still, and which is good, because my art is supposed to be in between realism and cartoons. I don't want it to be ultra realistic. Now, the way I'm going to make him more realistic, actually, in my final pieces, is by continuing to add more shadows, more details. That's how it develops into a much more realistic piece. But as far as it's the same as I was saying before, we're building the caricature. So when you're building a caricature, or the basis of it, the foundation of it, you have to make as simple lines as possible. There he goes. Oh man, that looks awesome. I absolutely love it. Now kids don't have really thick necks, so maybe his neck should be about parallel to his eyes, as you see there. I think that's actually pretty cool, pretty good. And they don't, I don't know if I had a long neck. I don't think I had a long neck growing up as a kid. Instead of giving him a tie this time, I'm just going to do an open polo, going along with the era of the 80s of me growing up. I would wear polos at times. One of my favorite shows growing up was Miami Vice, and they would wear things like this, all pastel colors, very cool looking, very of the time period. Actually, that one is, I would say, probably the best one so far, and it's taken me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tries to get to my favorite one so far. He's looking straight at me. So once again, let's do the same thing. What did I learn from this? It was, first, let's do the head width. Head width is about there, and then I'm not even looking over here, I'm just looking at what I'm doing. And then this is the chin. So if this is the chin, I have to bring them way over here and do the correct arch on both sides so that he is starting to get the right proportions. A little smirk on his face once again. And then I believe what I'm doing, if you look here at these proportions, they're not quite the same. He has more chin than the nose space. So here I already kind of messed up because it's way lower. But let's just bring the nose down a bit. It's okay. These are details that I have to memorize. Where is his nose? What is the spaces between the nose and the mouth? Because when I'm drawing or when I'm going to create this art, like, for example, I'm going to do it as a mural, I have to have these proportions in my head so I can finish them as quickly as possible. Now, this is actually pretty funny because the proportions are completely messed up, but it still kind of looks like him. See, so that's the important part, is how do the proportions all come together? How did it still kind of look like him? I guess they'll say, hey, that's Stonsky. But just a wider head, wider face. I really like this little guy. So let's keep going. Same thing. Let's draw sides of the head. This one's actually a pretty wide head. I'm making this a little bit more this time, going further down. Maybe go from here this time to get the correct shape. I think that's the correct shape. Yeah. Once I draw one side, usually my right side, it's easier for somebody to draw my left side after that. So here, the lips are probably around here. And then just slightly smaller and the chin space. And then we draw the nose. Well, I draw the nose. So I have this tendency of saying we. I'm going to get that from. And the eyes. It's fun. I always think eyebrows are fun because if you don't draw them in, you don't know what's wrong sometimes, but you can't look something off in the face. And I don't know how you draw them. It completely changes the mood of the person, the caricature. Eyes can be the same. If I draw this eyebrow way down here, that changes the mood of the whole face. So I believe this is actually pretty good. Once again, I think I'm a little too wide with this. That's just actually here. I just put it on the line. It right in the middle of the now. And now it's a hair. So I love this bowl haircut. I love it when little kids have it. I couldn't rock it now as an adult. My hair is too long. Or all right now it's too long. But I don't know if I could have like a bowl haircut. I think I would look hilarious. I've seen that UFC fighter Patty. And he had a bowl haircut as an adult. And even though he's a badass fighter, I think he looks hilarious with a bowl haircut. I just associate children with it. And there we go. That's actually pretty good. Very similar. See, so once again, it's just repetition. It took me 2 drawings to get close to this one. And we're just going to keep going. Let's fill out this whole page with little Donalskis. Let's see if we can go a little bit faster with my drawings. I want to be too sloppy, but I do feel that time is of the essence sometimes. And so maybe if I push myself, I'll be able to draw them pretty quickly without messing them up too much. Sometimes when you think too much, that's when you actually mess things up, I think. It's better to just go over them, and then they'll all come together in the end. Yeah. Not bad, actually. A little bit more now. And there's Mac with his eyes. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can honestly say it's the same character. And that's what the important part is. I'm getting the character down. So it's almost the same character every single time without that many lines. Over here. And now we have the caricature lines. It's all coming together. Very quickly this time. Nose. And the ears right here. Below the nose. Nose shape. Hair shape. And the haircut. I think about how my hair lays on the head. What's really missing here? Well, I can tell you the tone. This needs to be more harsh. And it's different than that. Well, let's keep going. As quickly as possible. He has a bit of a longer face. And it's still wide though. Here we go. Nose. The eyes. This one has a very clean face. It just really, really clean with one line. And the life in my life with the second life. Well, action to change from your life. Very quickly this time. Actually. Let's go ahead and slow down a little bit more. I'd like to get interface once again. But I'm getting better and better every single time. It's a process. And I feel like I'm doing better every time. Through repetition. Let's see if we can elongate his hand with the tail line. Yep. I feel like that's something from the North Ridge. That's what it is. We're just making this caricature. Possibly, let's see. And sideways upwards look. Smile as usual. So, we have to in different ways. It me as an artist as well, having this creativity. And I think this set it off to my two. It's a perfect version of the little musky title. Like that little guy. This looks like a donkey. I found it before you this character. That was like, why would I do that as reality? This development's a little bit more realistic character. That's why it is with these guys. What are we doing? A lot more better. Where's that? That's coming from where the light is coming from. So all of this will be darkened. The hairline. Exactly these ones. That's a little bit more. You see, that's giving it a lot more details. Where's the hairline? This one will be done. Over here. And this looks like you were just like, that's okay. You can really skin down a little bit more. And do that right there. This ear looks like this. Maybe it's good. There we go. Now the neck. But like I said, this is the collar. And the more detail, creating more realism in it. And more details, more shadows. But yeah, this is what it should be done. I think that needs to come up over here more. I believe that we're going to still not that. That's what it's about drawing. And just getting the confidence that you need. Make it look really good. This repetition. Alright, I think that is it for today. Thank you for watching.